Hi, everyone. So as we sum up here Newton's laws, I want to take a moment to let's kind of review the first, second, and third law. Okay, so we know the man Isaac Newton created 3 laws of motion. His first law of motion, I like the soccer ball example because I'm more of a person who visualizes these motions versus memorizing the definition. He said that an object at rest will remain at rest, like that soccer ball sitting there, unless acted on by an unbalanced force. In this case, it's a kid kicking the ball. And then an object will be in motion, and it will continue to be in motion with constant speed and direction unless an unbalanced force or another force acts upon it. In this case, the ball stops moving due to the fact it hit a net. Okay, so an object stays at rest, or an object in motion will stay in motion unless another force acts on it. So think about its nickname is also the law of inertia. So the first law's nickname is inertia, which is basically summing up this soccer ball example, okay? And when we think and define the word force, up top right here, that it's defined as any push or pull that gives energy to objects and causes that change in motion. So that's the true definition of a force. It's a push or a pull. Now, let's move on to his second law of motion. Okay, this one involves that math equation. Now, as a 5th grader, some of you are mathematicians, and you could use that equation, force is mass times acceleration, and actually solve to find out the true force, okay? But his second law, if you just kind of sum it up, and again, I like looking at this picture, he's saying the greater the mass of an object, okay, the greater the amount of force. Remember, force is a push or a pull required to make that object accelerate or speed up. So because the car has a greater mass than the basketball over here, it's going to require that man to do more force or a push or pull to move the car versus move the basketball. Force is mass times acceleration. The bigger the mass, the more force. The smaller the mass, the less force to move that object. Again, if you want to solve what, like we did some practice problems, wonderful. But that is not expected in 5th grade. That's like a middle school physics class, okay? Continuing on with his second law, Newton is that unit that we measure force. So when you solve the equation, force is measured in the unit Newton. And when we did some practice, that word acceleration is a change in speed, and it also includes direction. Speed is defined as the rate of an object's motion, and velocity is a combination of speed and direction of motion. To sum up, force is mass times acceleration. Now, his third law of motion, its nickname is action and reaction. So when you first look at this visual, I see a rocket here. Okay, that's when I think of his third law, I think rocket. Rocket goes up, air comes out and pushes it back. Or I think about if you've ever gone kayaking, you're pushing the paddle forward, you're moving the opposite direction. So the third law is for every action, there's an equal but yet opposite reaction. So think about the rocket, action and reaction is its nickname. So again, just looking at some examples here indicating his third law of motion. I think about really, if you're pushing down on the floor, even a simple example, the floor is actually pushing up on you. I know that's hard to imagine, but it's exerting that same amount of force on you, okay? Or a tire, okay, as mom and dad are driving, that tire is exerting a force on the road and the road is exerting that